Hi, good morning everybody. Thanks for joining us this morning. My name is Kit and I am at the Cascades Raptor Center here in Eugene, Oregon this morning on this beautiful fall day. Cascades Raptor Center is a wildlife hospital and nature center specializing in birds of prey or raptors. So here at the center we have an amazing group of avian ambassadors. Here's one of our avian ambassadors right now, and I'll be talking a little bit about him in just a minute. So people come up, they visit our site and meet these really amazing raptors, learning about how important they are in our environment. Behind the scenes, we do have a hospital, and at our hospital we have injured, orphaned, or ill raptors, and our #1 goal is always returning those birds to the wild. Now 2020 has been a crazy year for us. We have had a record number of raptors into our hospital this year, so we have been incredibly busy in our hospital. Fortunately, we've had some really great release rates, so we have succeeded in getting a lot of those birds back out into the wild. Now today we're going to talk a little bit more about raptors. I'd also like to thank our sponsor, Mountain Rose Herbs, for having us on their site today so we can share about these amazing predators. So in case folks don't know, I always like to let people know what a raptor is, because people just go to like dinosaur. Raptors are avian predators, and there's a lot of different groups of these birds, but these avian predators, the one thing they share in common is that they hunt using their feet. So they have really powerful feet, they have talons, these claws on the ends of their toes, and they are hunting other animals. And in order to catch those animals and eat them, it's really important they're never eating any seeds or fruits or veggies, so they have to eat the entire animal, which often surprises people. That means they have to have the organs, the bones, and the muscle meat. So we don't like to call them meat eaters, we like to call them animal eaters because they're eating animals. Now one of the groups of raptors that are out there in the world are the falcons. So falcons are most closely related to parrots, if you can believe it. And this little falcon is the smallest falcon in North America. It's called an American Kestrel. So falcons are aerodynamic, speedy hunters. They often hunt in open country, and they're really they're built for speed. They have really stiff feathers, long pointed wings, and they often have long skinny toes. Those long skinny toes are really important for getting in and underneath the birds that they're usually hunting. So they're often out there hunting other birds. Now American Kestrels, being a small falcon, do hunt a lot of different types of food, kind of a variety of food. They might be hunting mice in fields. They can catch dragonflies and moths in flight. And they also do hunt some birds, so really varied diet. Now this American Kestrel is a male, and his name is Parker, and he is part of our ambassador team here at the center. And usually you can't tell a male or a female raptor by just looking at them, because their colors are exactly the same, except for American Kestrels. American Kestrels, the males and females actually do have different colors. So we know Parker is a male because he's got these amazing polka dots on his belly. He's got these beautiful blue wing bars here on his side. If you turn his tail around, he has this beautiful russet colored tail. Females are a little bit more striped. They don't have that red russet tail, and they don't have quite as much blue on their wings and on their heads. So very unusual, kind of the exception rather than the rule for raptors that there's those color differences, but kestrels definitely have them. We're really fortunate here in the Willamette Valley of Oregon to have a pretty good population of kestrels. They're definitely a species that is declining across the United States, and people just don't know why. So there's a lot of research going on right now to try to figure out why this species is declining so much in so much of the United States. So definitely a species that we love people to learn about, just because we would hate to lose a species of, any species of raptor, but such a charismatic one as the American kestrel. Now Parker is, oh my goodness, 3 years old. He's been part of our team since he was just a little tiny kid. He grew up learning how to fly and do the work of an ambassador in our staff office. And he has actually a couple of things going on. He has got one of his very important talons and toes on his left foot is actually deformed due to an accident. So these guys need to be prime athletes. They need to have all of their pieces and parts perfect in order to survive. It's already really hard to be a predator out in the wild. So he does have what we call his crinkle toe. That crinkle toe would make it very difficult for him to hunt and survive. But he was also raised illegally by some well-meaning folks. So he was found when he was just a nestling. And instead of calling a wildlife hospital, these folks just decided to go ahead and raise him on their own. It's never a good idea. If you ever come across any wildlife in distress, make sure you call a facility like the Cascades Raptor Center or your nearest wildlife hospital to get advice on what to do. Because sometimes we can reunite families. These guys need special food and special care so they don't become so comfortable around people. So Parker helps us talk about that as well. It's just really important to always give a licensed wildlife rehabber a call before you try to take care of that animal yourself.
I have a question here. What is Parker's favorite treats? What is he eating right now today?
Okay, so the question is, what are Parker's favorite treats and what is he eating right now? Parker is enjoying some mouse today and mealworms. So mealworms, this is kind of a secret. Mealworms are actually turned into beetles. This is often what you see in movies in Hollywood. They pretend these are maggots. So next time you see these guys in a movie, they're actually mealworms. They're not maggots. And they're just little larval worms that will turn into beetles. He loves his mealworms. They're a great way for me to say thank you to Parker as he's out meeting folks or doing any of the other behaviors that we ask him to do. So he also does enjoy quail, but he actually definitely likes mice and mealworms the best. And in the summer, we sometimes get crickets, and he really, really enjoys chasing those crickets and catching them in his aviary. So that's really fun to watch. And definitely, if you have any questions or want some more information, please go ahead and put those in the chat, and we are happy to answer those for you right now. Now, I'll tell you a little bit more about falcons. Falcons are definitely different than some of the other daytime raptors like hawks or eagles. They have these really interesting little notches on their upper bill. That notch on the upper bill actually helps them crush the neck of their prey because their feet are actually not as strong as like a red-tailed hawk's foot or like an owl's foot. So they have kind of a special, almost like can opener on their beak that helps them make that kill. They also have these really crazy cute little round nostrils, little different shape that look like little tiny jet engine intakes. So you can imagine a jet engine where the air comes into that engine. That's what a falcon's nostril looks like. That nostril helps them when they're going so super fast. So it helps keep the air warm, it helps keep the air moist, and make sure when like a peregrine falcon is diving at 250 miles an hour that they don't pass out. So another really great adaptation that falcons have for their high-speed lifestyle.
9-year-old Henry wants to know if kestrels migrate.
Oh, that's a great question. So we have a question about if kestrels migrate. So it depends on where that kestrel lives, if it migrates or not. So here in the Willamette Valley of Oregon, where we have really pretty mild temperatures year-round and good hunting opportunities, the kestrels actually stay year-round. Now, kestrels that live further north, maybe in the Great Plains or up into Canada where they might get a lot of snow and ice in the winter, those kestrels often do migrate to a little bit more moderate climates in the winter. And then in the spring, when it's time to raise their families, they will migrate further north again. So it really depends on where those kestrels are, whether or not they migrate.
What type of falcons do we have here at Cascades Raptor Center?
All right, what kind of falcons? So what species of falcons do we have here on our team? So we have American Kestrel, the smallest. Next we have Merlins. So Merlins are slightly larger than the American Kestrel. Bird hunting specialist again. We also have peregrine falcons. So we have several resident peregrine falcons that are part of our team. And then finally we have a gyrfalcon. So we have Nike the gyrfalcon, and gyrfalcons are the largest falcon species in the world. They're usually only found in the Arctic, and they are really amazing that they live year-round there. And only occasionally do we see the gyrfalcon here in Oregon, sometimes in the winters.
Could you remind folks how old Parker is again? That question came up.
Sure. Parker is 3 years old.
And what's his lifespan?
Well, in the wild, American kestrels, between 60 and 80% of American kestrels don't make it to their first birthday. So it's really hard to be a predator in the wild. Now, if that first year goes really well and everything is, they are successful at what they're doing, hunting, and not getting hurt, 7 years would be a pretty long life for an American kestrel in the wild. Here at the center, we have had resident kestrels live to the age of 15. So with all of the food and protection and medical care, they definitely often see like a doubling of that life expectancy here in human care. Parker, you've got a mouse on your face.
6-year-old Ira would like to know what Parker likes to play with.
Well, Parker likes to play with pebbles a lot. He'll fly down to the floor of his aviary and grab pebbles and fly around and then drop them. He also likes to rip and tear up leaves. So this is a great time of year for Parker because there's a lot of fall leaves that have fallen through into his aviary, and he likes to grab those with his feet and then rip and tear them up. He also has been known to play with paper towel balls. So we can make a real tight little ball with paper towels. We throw them in his aviary. He'll catch them out of the air, and then he rips them up into little tiny paper towel pieces that we have to go clean up. So he really likes those too.
How much does Parker weigh?
Okay, Parker. So we weigh everybody in grams. So a lot of people don't know, kind of don't have a good sense of that. But grams are way more accurate way to measure these guys. And today Parker weighed 118 grams. And that sounds like a lot. But that's about 4 ounces. So he doesn't weigh very much at all. But that's really kind of the way of birds. Birds have to be really, really light in order to fly. So even though he doesn't weigh much, as do other birds don't weigh a lot, they're really strong. They have really high metabolisms, and so yeah, about 4 ounces.
Okay, are you able to tell us about their nesting habits, Kestrel's nesting habits?
Sure, Kestrel's nesting habits. So Kestrels, like all falcons, do not build stick nests. So a lot of people expect all birds to build stick nests. They just don't do that. Falcons nest in what we call cavities or holes, or some just nest right on the cliffs of rocks. Now, kestrels are what we call a cavity nester. So that means that they find a hole in a tree that is safe, and they live in that hole that's where they lay their eggs, and that is where they incubate their young, and that's where the young grow up. So the really great thing about kestrels and that they nest in cavities is that you can build kestrel nest boxes. They don't care if that cavity is man-made or if it's a hole in a tree. So you can actually help kestrels and help kestrel habitat by building and hanging up high a kestrel nest box, and maybe you'll have a kestrel family living in your neighborhood.
One of the questions I have here is Parker's coloring juvenile or adult, and does it change seasonally?
Okay, so the question is about Parker's color and his feather pattern. So kestrels are a species of raptor that actually don't even have what we call a juvenile plumage. So when he hatched, he was fluffy down little ball of feathers, and then the colors on his body, when his feathers started growing in, looked really, really, really close to what he looks like right now. So he never even have what we call juvenile plumage. And he has this color year round, so it doesn't change at all. But he does get new feathers every spring and summer. So that's called molting. And so when food's really good, they'll drop 1 or 2 feathers at a time in the spring and summer, and then grow all these new feathers. And he's showing those brand new feathers. He's all done molting. He's all ready for the winter weather. I think Parker thought maybe he could go chase after that bird that was just behind us yelling at us.
How did Parker come to be at the Raptor Center?
Parker came here because when he was a youngster, of course we don't know exactly what happened. He was out of that nest, that cavity nest. Some people found him and they kept him and raised him for a while instead of calling a licensed wildlife rehabber. So he became what we call kind of a human imprint, not really knowing that he was a kestrel. But then also he has a disability on his toes as well. All right. Well, I think Parker is probably about done. He's probably ready to go home. It looks like he would be much more interested in bird watching than meeting with guests. And we always want Parker's time to be the best time. So I'm going to say thanks everybody for watching today. Thanks again to Mountain Rose Herbs for sponsoring this, and hope you guys come and visit us soon. So have a great day, everybody.